All right, welcome everybody to the great debate. This is round two, and we have our co-host Papi Black Rob coming in with the second topic of the night. We have our debaters Zen Barbie and James, and anyone in the box who's willing to jump in. Rob, what is the question for our second debate?
Does everyone feel about taking already existing characters
And I'm
and
taking you out.
changing them up by cross racing? Changing them from white to black or black to Indian or Indian to Asian.
What's up, Zen?
And Rob, now that you've asked the question, I have one more person wanting to come in, so I'm going to take you out. You and Ange get to
All right.
you get to score from the comments, and I'm going to bring Afro in. All right.
Afro?
So who would like to start first?
I'll
ahead,
just let you know.
I'll start.
I'm
I'll,
gonna be
I'll
against
start
it.
first.
Okay. Go ahead, Afro.
I think it's a good thing, especially with the Ariel thing, because um the cartoons usually are more geared towards like the princess and the prince is always white, and it show and basically, and so I think that get, making a prince and a princess, you know different races, it makes it gives kids that are those ethnic backgrounds something to look up to and be like, oh, I can be that too. So I don't have a problem with it. It gives more people who wouldn't have the starring role or whatever to be able to show what they can do, instead of just playing like the maid or the robber, or playing a slave or something.
Okay. Who would
Well,
like to go
I
next?
basically look at it as, oh, I didn't mean to cut off. I've always been against that because I look at it as creative laziness. We have our stories because those that sat there created a new story that now became big. So make a new story for these new kids. Let's stop repeating stuff. Stop making old stuff and start creating new. But if you keep creating old stuff, it's all about business. They just keep getting to recycle, recycle, recycle. Now, when you take somebody, because here's the thing, I'm gonna say for black people, I'm gonna use y'all because I'm black, so I can say it. If they sat there and made Malcolm X Asian, you're gonna be up in an uproar. If they sit there and
Well,
they
that's
take a black cartoon or something like that and make a person white, like Fat Albert in it, if they make a white dude in it, you're gonna be in an uproar.
well,
You
that's
gotta
kind of different.
be creative. You know what I mean? So make
Let's
new things.
I
Well,
just
that's
want to
kind of different.
before we have some more comments, I just want to read some of the comments. It highlights the truth that there is interracial relationships, and that is okay. It's a story that was created many years ago that needs to be updated.
Yep.
Antero said one of the biggest things is the race important to the character and the story? Midnight Lion said it won't be a prejudiced nation for the youth. Christopher said just like HBO fairy tales for children. So James, then Afro, please go ahead.
All right. So, speaking as a not black person, my view is very simple. It's if you want to if you want to update a story, hey, I can. Hey, if you want to update a story for this generation, other markets, demographics, I'm all for it. The Little Mermaid thing didn't bother me one bit.
Right.
As long as you're not erasing history, making someone actually that is a real person in history something that they're not, what's the problem? If it's a story, it's a story. And to push back on, I can't remember who said it, about like, make new stories, make new stories. The classic stories are classic for a reason. Now, if you want to interpret them for a new market, a new demographic, so those stories stay alive for your kids, my kids, their kids, I'm all about that. Whatever it is that gets that story out there, I'm all about it. My only hang up would ever be if it's historically relevant, why would we change that? Negative or positive, it doesn't matter either way. As long as it's not historically relevant, Make the Little Mermaid whatever. Make whoever. Make Velma whoever. That's a fictional character. Make a black stormtrooper. I don't care. If it's not historically relevant, as long as it gets that message, market, whatever it is you want to say out to the masses, that's all that matters. And, at the end of the day, a good story is a good story, regardless of, race, wokeness, whatever you want to say. A good story is a good story at the end of the day.
Okay, Afro, and then I know that Christopher Robin wants to come in to explain his comment. So if somebody wants to volunteer to jump out and jump back in after he gives his point, Afro, what?
But he basically said what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hamilton's the shit. So
I want to say it like this: let's stop acting like Hollywood isn't out for money.
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason they're revamping and revitalizing these stories is to get more people to spend money.
That's right.
It's a market. So you have to understand minorities now have majority of the buying power here in the United States. So I know that if I've already written a good story and I revamp it with characters they can identify with, they're more likely to come see it and make me more money. It is a financially driven decision. It has nothing to do with the race, creed, gender, nationality, orientation of a person. The goal is to make money and to get more people to spend their money. So the question is, how do you, it should be more of an implicit question as to which version you want to identify with and what makes you feel happy at the end of the day. If you're okay with the old story classics from the 50s that gave you the nostalgia as a kid, then that's your truth. If you like the new revamped versions that make you feel free and liberated and seen and heard, then that is your truth. I think it tells more about your character more than about Hollywood and its ability to identify with you. So for me, I don't have an opinion one way or another. My thing is, does it make you a better person when you leave the movie theater? Does it make you feel heard, seen, and feel like your story is being told? I think in my opinion, that's the best thing. Are you celebrated in the version you see when you walk in the theater? That's it.
All right. Who would like to say something next?
All right, so there's my thing. I hear what y'all are saying. I already been like, these are things that me and my friends and all that already talk about. And I'm actually old enough to know every single story you're gonna talk about being about to be 50 in 2 months. I mean, so it's
damn, you got
basically,
me.
yeah, I'll be 50 in 2 months. So basically, it's like this: they're not doing it to, and that's what I said. It's all about money. It's all about business. They're not doing it for these kids or the gay, somebody that's gay and all that. They don't care. Because right now, if someone starts wearing polka dots, they're gonna start having characters with polka dots. You cannot relate, keep rewriting history, and that's what I noticed after around 2000. I started noticing, especially when I was a teacher, they stopped rewriting history. So right now, you know that there's no more Thomas Jefferson in the books, in the history books. You get me? You cannot keep rewriting history because its history is a solid foundation to build everything from, and entertainment. You cannot take Scooby doing them and all of a sudden make Scrappy Doo wear pink ponytails. You know what I mean? You can't take an already established story, add characters into the story that's already there because there's examples of them doing it. They added characters into stories. I forget because I used to watch cartoons that then now these become a new character in the already written story that these kids get to continue. Now the parents, the adults, and the kids get to share something instead of keep separating for money. Be creative. And this is what the world overall, not to go off, but they're trying to make the world less creative. They're trying to make people less creative. That's why so many people think their DJ's off thing by pressing a button. Yeah. Turning the bench. You
Play
ain't turning
vinyl.
down no volume and turning down. You ain't doing nothing like that. What if they make Thundercats dogs?
I
Because
pay for my
there you
app.
go.
I pay for my Apple Music.
Yeah, yeah. Not bad.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Okay, so who would like to follow that up? My Lord Jesus, Savior Christ.
I'm not
I mean,
following
I'll jump in if I could.
Go
No,
ahead, James.
but I understand what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. He's saying create new stories with new narratives
Mhm.
and leave the old stories alone
but the
because
same
they've already been
concept is
told.
all concepts of being good to your neighbor, things like that. Like the
Right.
same concepts, but new stories. And if you want to keep the old story, just add
But
new
you,
characters of those people.
but you know what? The problem is that they create new things. It stays around for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, then they take it off,
James,
and it
go
could have
ahead.
been. And it's like a good. And most times it'd be a good show.
All right, James.
Netflix.
James, go ahead.
All right, you ready? I'm gonna put what is it, Bratty Ash there. I'm a grown ass man. Princess and the Frog. I cried at the movie theater as a grown ass man. Not gonna deny it. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
To what is it, NIP, NIP? Yeah, if they're not playing vinyl, they're not DJing. I'm with you on that. And then as far as the stories, again, if we're talking about old stories that were created in a time where women weren't allowed to vote, there wasn't any civil rights, and you want to update those old stories for the time we live in now, that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Again, a good story is a good story, period. If you have to update it for the time we live in, look, talking to whoever said he was 50, the TV shows we watch as kids don't fly now. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's how we adapt. Nothing wrong with that. But to deny a good story just because of it being a good story in a time that wasn't under today's morals, that's a problem. And again, talking about whoever was talking about Thomas Jefferson, sure. Was he a bad guy in today's environment? Sure, probably. But to completely erase history, there's the old saying, and those who don't remember their history are doomed to repeat it. That matters. You can learn from bad things in your past. We all have done it. Pretty sure every one of us has done it. That stuff matters.
Oh, I wanted to say something because Ashley said something in the comments. She said something about Lion King mentioned like drag references in the movie when it came out. Like when Timon and Pumbaa, they're like dressed in drag and do the hula, and they start doing all little songs. Yeah, and then even Bugs Bunny, he was dressing in drag as an opera singer, and then the princess and stuff to get away from Elmer Fudd or whatever. So like people be saying like, oh, they're doing this and doing that, like they've been doing it in the cartoons. It just wasn't, people just wasn't paying attention back then.
Bert and Ernie. I mean, let's talk about Bert and Ernie and Sesame Street. I mean, they always had LGBTQ plus has been on the map forever. I mean, Bert and Ernie were roommates.
Yeah.
Right.
By the time you turned 10, you knew they weren't just roommates.
I actually found that out in my 30s. I did not know until my 30s. I'm ashamed to admit it. So
I'm going to give you all some. Go ahead.
No, right now, I didn't know it all.
Nipple, you
look. No, Z right. When I was 10 years old, I was like, why? I was like, why they never go see? Why Bert and Ernie never go see their girlfriend or whatever? And my mom was like, oh, that's because both of them is together. I was like, oh, okay.
But you have to also understand the times, and everybody wants to know why they were in twin beds. Well, if you look at the I Love Lucy show, Lucy and her husband. Why? Listen, this is how you know they're together. Lucy and her husband were always, laying in separate beds. They will put the beds together when they, whatever, but they always sleep in separate beds. So that was just a sign of the times that when they had separate beds, they were a couple. So when Bert and Ernie came in with separate beds, and then I went back and looked at Lucy's show, I was like, oh yeah, they together.
They slap in cheeks. They slap in cheeks.
Gotta push those beds together.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, sweetheart. But yeah, so you have to understand, it's like we want to protect the innocence of a child, but at the same time, listen to the music we listen to, the way we move, listening to all the ways we really experience life. You can't shield kids from all that.
Well,
all you can do is prepare them for the truth.
I always been moving. I always been moving nasty. You know what I mean? I always move my hips. So
let me find out.
James,
I'm only 5 years under you. Let me find out.
with his almond oil.
Okay.
Yeah, he himself, Zen Barbie. James, you could go ahead. I've been calling your name like 10
all
times.
Right. I was just waiting. I'm not being rude. So I got 3 points. First of all, Zen Barbie's awesome, and it's a shame because I shouldn't be able to point out someone that actually changes my mind, because it should be every day. But love that. 2 things. I'm going to give you all a homework assignment. Watch Blazing Saddles and get back to me.
What's Blazing Saddles?
And if you're offended, oh, there it is. If you're offended by that, that's the problem. And whoever was talking about the kids and protecting the kids, look, I got 3 of them. That's my job. Period. You can sit there and say, well, we got to protect the kids on the TV and the internet and all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's my job as a parent to teach them how to critically think, how to absorb information, all that stuff. So you can sit there and go, protect the kids. That's my job. So
I was saying that, with the changes in cartoons, we're saying that, for example, I won't let my child watch any new iteration of television or whatever, because
I agree.
Characters now exist that I don't agree with. That's foolish. Because if you listen to the music and the stuff that the kids listen to anyway, they will be exposed eventually to behaviors and mannerisms that you may deem uncivilized, right?
Yep.
So what is the purpose? And like you said, yeah, you're supposed to, as a parent, make sure you give your kids critical thinking skills.
Yeah, because
they can understand what they're watching.
So, but
because people have.
The only reason I'm saying do not change the race of someone, because you're letting the Black, Asian, Indian kids now be included, but then you're eliminating the white kids or whoever it was already them characters. So you right now you're getting.
I'm sorry, what?
You're making. If you make the Flintstones, and I sit there and all of a sudden Fred, my real name, my given government name is Black or Asian, I'm like, why? You get me? Because we are one. We are one people. So you can't think that, what they say, taking away from one to give to another instead of building abundance for all. Create new characters, because now them same white kids coming up, if you want. And white is, I don't even like using the word white because Irish is not Italian, is not French. So now them kids right there, that there's no way in the world you can make something to appease everybody, because there's so many different cultures, nationalities. Southern don't think like the Northern, don't think like this. You can never do it. So just create, because it's more about the moral than it is the character. You get what I'm saying? So stop creating new to fit today. So when they're older, they can say to the kids, John's, whatever this show is, instead of SpongeBob, it's Peter Pan. Nah, that's actually a person. Actually a show, but you get what I mean? Then we're repeating music over. They're making movies over. I started getting mad because I'm watching the same movies I seen before. I want to see something new. You know what I mean? So at some point, Hollywood realized it's about money. They don't care if there's somebody gay and all that. They're trying to get more people in the audience or even the controversy to get more money. So all this stuff happening has nothing to do with morals or trying to steer kids right. Because when they took away Saturday morning cartoons, that's when they said they didn't care about kids. Because we used to wake up with Saturday from a certain time to like 12 p.m. Saturday morning cartoons. There's not a
Oh, it was 10 p.m. 10 a.m. with Pee Wee's Playhouse.
See, even that. Why you picked a killer one to use, but yeah, Pee Wee's Playhouse. I didn't know Pee Wee was.
We cleaned our house well enough, and I don't know if y'all know I'm older.
Yeah, I remember Schoolhouse. Yeah, I remember Schoolhouse
Right?
Rock.
You used to do your chores so you can watch that Soul Train that came on right afterwards. I mean, we all know
Oh,
that.
I love Soul Train.
Right at noon, it was Soul Train.
Zen,
You know.
you remember the Asian lady with the long black hair and the long black hair?
And she would just be rocking, and
I remember the Asian lady.
Everybody remember the Asian lady? People were like, yo,
That's what
Right.
they want to do.
Here.
Right.
I think all of y'all are old enough. There used to be dance shows that used to come on Nickelodeon or something, dance club with the white kid with the glasses that knew how to dance, or Downtown Judy Brown. They had one on MTV. Creativity
Pants off, dance
has
off.
left the building. You know what I mean? Just like music and everything else, like it's you make more money repeating. So if something keeps happening, you're gonna keep paying. If you keep paying for crap, they're gonna keep making crap. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's what it's gonna be. So to me, honestly, I just don't believe in changing whether it's fictional or non-fictional. Don't change a story, create a new one. You can't make a new reality in an existing one. You have to create a whole new one. I gotta bet I have jacked up that quote, but you get the gist of it. You know what I mean? Create a new reality.
I like that. All right. So James, after you, James, I'd like to bring the hosts back in. So I'd like two people to volunteer to jump out. But we're gonna move on to the third topic. All right. Go ahead, James. Oh, everybody jump.
To push back a little bit of that, the nostalgia is what sells these shows. That's why shows like Stranger Things or Wednesday or any of these shows do well. It's because the nostalgia of the people who are, let's be real, spending their money. That's why they do well, because there's nostalgia in it. That's a fact. You know, there's something to be said for that, man. There's something to be said for the old transitioning to, again, your kids. You know, my kids know Star Wars. They shouldn't, but they do because it comes back around, and the nostalgia, it matters. So there's nothing to be said. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you're talking about spending your money on new ideas. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But the nostalgia does matter. You know, the stories I grew up with, I want my kids to grow up with as well.
That's a good point. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for that. Yes, Rob.
All right, so he brought up a very good point. It's about the nostalgia. I mean, he brought up
and
the
Thundercats
show
was the shit.
Yes, yes, it was. So he brought up Stranger Things, which is a very good show, but it is a nostalgia show versus a remake of something else. Which kind of differentiates between the two styles. As far as like the things that you grew up with that brought you joy as a young kid, I like to I have a niece. Whenever she comes over, we watch like Thundercats and all the old shows because they're accessible. So I basically show them the things that I grew up with and what shaped me through media. So it's not really about nostalgia so much as, well, this topic is not so much about nostalgia so much as taking something from the past and then redoing it and putting a new stamp on it.
Well said. I want to thank everybody for that topic. Now, before I end the recording on this, for those of you that were taking part in the debate, if you'd like, for people who see you on YouTube to contact you, please drop it in the comments. I'm going to give you guys like a minute for everybody who's taken part in this debate. We have Zen Barbie, Papi Black Rob, Unapologetically Ange, Nippa, and James. So you guys can just drop, your IG, your TikTok, or whatever name in the comments. And then the people on YouTube, if you want to follow up with these lovely people, you totally can. Follow them on their social media, right? All right, James, we appreciate that. You did really, really well. No, James, not MySpace.
MySpace, really? Okay.
So anyone wants to drop
Thank
their,
you so
their
much,
IG or their
everyone, for
TikTok?
that. Mhm.
There we go. Zen. So we have Zen. It's at Zen No Label if you want to find her on IG. Rob, what about you, Ange?
Mine's just in my
about the-
profile. Just click the link.
No, this is recording to YouTube. So in case people from YouTube want to find you, what's
Okay.
I want you to
It
do
is
something,
Unapologetically Ange 50.
yeah, on IG. And what about you, Nippa?
Well, I wanted to add this since you're gonna put it on YouTube. I want to be Chinese, cut my head off, and put the rock body on it. And make sure I ain't got no shirt on, because I want people in the future to see me in the future a certain way. Like I want to fill out this sweater. You know what I mean? I can't be in the sweater's loose. I want to be where I touch it and I can't pinch an inch. So what you do, I'll show you how to do it. Cut off my head, like keep the head, because I like the way I look up here. But change me up down here and squeeze my eyes a little bit. Like I want to be. I mean, because man, I played
Now I
around.
take
and I see what I
offense
would
to
look
the
like.
squeeze eye part because my eyes are naturally this way, and I'm always asked, "Am I high?" And I don't think that's fair. So do not do the squeeze eyes. I do not like that. I think that's a little too far fetched. But the rest we might can modify and do.
Okay.
Good.
Hey,
Idris Elba.
I just want to point out, Uma, that you did let him back in the box. So
I don't know.
that's all
I was just trying to end the recording. I was trying to end the recording, and I'm gonna end it on